I'm Ryan, 28 years old, and I've been with my girlfriend Sarah, 26, for 5 years. We met at a local coffee shop where she worked as a barista. I had just moved to the city for a new job in marketing and was feeling pretty lonely. Sarah's warm smile and easy conversation made me a regular customer before I even realized it. I grew up in a small town with my parents and younger sister. My dad worked in construction, and my mom was a teacher. They instilled strong values of honesty and hard work in us from a young age. I was always a bit of an introvert, focusing on my studies and a small group of close friends. Dating wasn't really on my radar until college. Sarah, on the other hand, grew up in the city with her mom and older sister. Her dad left when she was young, which she said made it hard for her to trust people. She was outgoing and popular in school, always surrounded by friends and admirers. She had a few serious relationships before me, but said they all ended because the guys couldn't handle her independent spirit. Our relationship started off casual. We'd grab coffee or dinner after her shifts, talking for hours about our dreams and experiences. I was drawn to her vibrant personality and the way she seemed to light up any room she entered. Sarah said she appreciated my stability and the way I made her feel safe. Things got serious pretty quickly. Within 6 months, we were officially a couple and spending most of our free time together. Sarah introduced me to her friends, who were all artsy and eclectic types. I felt a bit out of place at first with my corporate job and conservative upbringing, but Sarah always made me feel included. We moved in together after about 2 years of dating. It was a big step for both of us. I had some savings from living frugally, and Sarah had just gotten a promotion at the coffee shop to assistant manager. We found a cozy apartment in a trendy neighborhood and spent weeks making it our own. Life was good for a while. We both had steady jobs, shared similar interests in music and food, and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. We talked about marriage and starting a family someday, though we agreed we weren't quite ready yet. Sarah wanted to advance her career first, and I supported her ambitions. About a year ago, Sarah got a new job as a server at an upscale restaurant downtown. A regular customer at the coffee shop owned the place and was impressed by Sarah's people skills. The hours were long and irregular, often late into the night, but the pay was much better than her previous job. I was supportive of her career change, even though it meant we'd have less time together. At first, Sarah was excited about the new opportunity. She'd come home full of stories about the interesting people she met and the fancy food and drinks she was learning about. She started dressing differently too, wearing more makeup and stylish clothes that fit the upscale atmosphere of the restaurant. Over time, though, I started noticing some changes in Sarah's behavior. She became more distant and irritable. Our conversations grew shorter and less frequent. She often came home late smelling of alcohol, claiming she was out with coworkers after her shift. I tried to be understanding, knowing how stressful her new job could be. I suggested we plan a weekend getaway to reconnect, but Sarah always had an excuse for why she couldn't take time off. When I brought up my concerns about us drifting apart, she accused me of being needy and not supporting her career. It hurt, but I backed off, not wanting to push her away further. Things really started to unravel about 2 months ago. Sarah began buying expensive designer clothes and accessories that I knew we couldn't afford on our salaries. When I asked about it, she said they were gifts from wealthy regular customers at the restaurant. It didn't sit right with me, but I wanted to trust her. One night, Sarah came home particularly late, around 3 a.m. When I asked where she'd been, she snapped at me, saying she didn't need to report her every move. We had a big fight that night. Sarah accused me of trying to control her and said I was holding her back. I was shocked by the venom in her words and went to sleep on the couch. The next morning, Sarah apologized and blamed her outburst on work stress. She promised to make more time for us and suggested we plan that weekend trip we talked about. I wanted to believe her, so I pushed my doubts aside. A week later, I was doing laundry when I found a matchbook from a high-end hotel in Sarah's jacket pocket. When I casually mentioned it, Sarah got defensive and said a coworker must have put it there. Her reaction made me suspicious, but I didn't want to accuse her of anything without proof. Last week, I accidentally saw some text messages on Sarah's phone while it was charging. She had left it on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower, and a notification popped up. The messages were from a man named Jake, and the content made it clear they were more than just friends. There were references to gifts he had bought her and plans to meet up. My heart sank as I realized Sarah had been lying to me for months. I spent the next day in a daze, trying to figure out what to do. That night, I confronted Sarah about the messages. At first, she tried to deny everything, claiming Jake was just a friend from work. But as I pressed her with details from the texts, she eventually broke down and admitted to having an affair. with Jake for the past 4 months. Sarah swore it was just physical and that she still loved me. She said Jake was a wealthy regular at the restaurant who had pursued her relentlessly. She claimed she got caught up in the excitement and attention, but that it didn't mean anything. She begged me not to leave her, promising to end things with Jake immediately. I was devastated and didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to end things immediately, but after 5 years together, it wasn't an easy decision. I thought about all we had been through together, the life we had built. But I also couldn't shake the feeling that the Sarah I loved wouldn't have done this to me. I told Sarah I needed some time to think and went to stay with a friend for a few days. My friend Mark had known me since college and had seen me through some tough times. He let me crash on his couch and listened as I poured out the whole story. Mark pointed out some red flags in Sarah's behavior that I had overlooked. He reminded me of times Sarah had been flaky or inconsistent, how she often twisted situations to make herself the victim. It was hard to hear, but I knew he had a point. Yesterday, Sarah called me in tears saying we needed to talk urgently. When I went back to our apartment, she dropped a bombshell. She's pregnant. At first, I was shocked, then cautiously hopeful that maybe this could be a new beginning for us. But then Sarah revealed that Jake is actually the father, not me. I'm completely crushed and feel like my whole world is crumbling. Sarah claims she wants to work things out and raise the baby together, saying Jake wants nothing to do with it. But I don't know how I can ever trust her again after all the lies and manipulation. Sarah says she's about 10 weeks along, which means she got pregnant right around the time I confronted her about the affair. She swears she didn't know then, and that she would have told me sooner if she had. But given everything else she's lied about, I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm torn between my love for Sarah and the anger, betrayal I feel. Part of me wants to just walk away from this mess, but another part still cares for her and hates the thought of her struggling as a single mother. I know I'm not responsible for the child, but I can't help feeling conflicted. My parents raised me to believe in commitment and working through problems. They've been married for 35 years and have weathered some tough times together. I always thought Sarah and I would have that kind of lasting love. Now I'm questioning everything I thought I knew about our relationship. I'm lost and don't know what to do. Any advice on how to handle this situation would be greatly appreciated. Should I try to work things out with Sarah? Or is it time to cut my losses and move on? I'm struggling to think clearly through all the emotions. Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me gain some clarity during a very difficult time. After careful consideration, I decided I couldn't continue a relationship with Sarah. The trust was completely shattered, and I realized I deserved better than to be manipulated and lied to. It wasn't an easy decision to make. I spent countless sleepless nights going over every detail of our relationship, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong. I remembered how supportive Sarah had been when I lost my job 2 years ago. She picked up extra shifts at the coffee shop to help cover our expenses and never once complained. She was there for me when my grandmother passed away last year, holding me as I cried and helping me write the eulogy. These memories made it even harder to reconcile with the person she had become. When I told Sarah my decision, she became extremely emotional and tried to guilt me into staying. She said I was abandoning her and the baby, and that she couldn't do it alone. She brought up all the good times we had shared and promised she could change. It was heart-wrenching to see her so upset, but I stood firm and told her that her choices led to this situation, not mine. Sarah's reaction quickly turned from sadness to anger. She accused me of never really loving her and said I was using this as an excuse to leave. She brought up old arguments and mistakes I had made, twisting them to make me look like the bad guy. It was a side of her I had never seen before, and it reinforced that I was making the right decision. I moved out of our shared apartment about 3 weeks ago. It was hard leaving the place we had called home for years. Every corner held a memory: the kitchen where we had cooked countless meals together, the living room where we had movie marathons on rainy weekends, the bedroom where we had shared our hopes and dreams. But I knew it was necessary for my mental health. I'm currently staying with my brother until I can find a new place of my own. He's been incredibly supportive, giving me space when I need it, but also making sure I don't isolate myself completely. We've been spending more time together than we have in years, and it's been nice to reconnect. Sarah has been constantly trying to contact me since I left. At first, it was more emotional pleas and guilt trips. When that didn't work, she switched to anger, calling me selfish and immature for running away from my responsibilities. She even reached out to my family, trying to get them to convince me to come back. Thankfully, they've respected my decision and haven't pressured me. I've been ignoring most of Sarah's messages, only responding when absolutely necessary about practical matters, like separating our belongings and finances. It's been difficult to maintain this boundary, especially when she sends late-night messages saying she misses me. But I know engaging further will only prolong the pain for both of us. Last week, I ran into Jake at a local bar. I wasn't sure if he knew who I was, but he approached me and tried to apologize for his role in the affair. He claimed he had no idea Sarah was in a serious relationship when they got involved. While I appreciate him owning up to his actions, I told him I wasn't interested in discussing it further. Jake did reveal some information that shocked me, though. Apparently, Sarah had told him she was single when they first met. She played the same manipulation games with him, lying about her situation and using him for expensive gifts and nights out. Jake only recently found out about me and the full extent of Sarah's deception. This new information made me realize just how deep Sarah's web of lies went. It wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment or a single mistake. She had been systematically deceiving both of us for months. It reinforced that I made the right decision in ending things, but it also made me question how well I ever really knew Sarah. I'm still struggling with conflicting emotions about the baby. Even though I know it's not my child, I can't help feeling a sense of attachment after believing it was mine for a short time. I had started to imagine a future as a father, teaching the kid to ride a bike, helping with homework, watching them grow up. Letting go of those dreams has been harder than I expected. I've decided to distance myself from the situation entirely for now. Sarah's pregnancy and the child are not my responsibility, and I need to focus on healing and moving forward with my own life. It feels selfish sometimes, but I know it's what's best for everyone involved in the long run. My friends and family have been incredibly supportive through all of this. They've helped me see that I'm not at fault for Sarah's actions, and that prioritizing my own well-being isn't selfish. My best friend from college even flew in for a weekend to keep me company and take my mind off things. I'm working on rebuilding my self-esteem and learning to trust again, but I know it will take time. I've started journaling to process my thoughts and emotions. It's been helpful to get everything out on paper and look back to see how far I've come. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm throwing myself into work and picking up old hobbies I had neglected during my relationship with Sarah. I've started playing guitar again and joined a local recreational soccer league. It's not always easy, but I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. I know there will be more challenges ahead, especially as Sarah's pregnancy progresses and the baby is born. But I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. This experience has taught me a lot about myself and what I want in a relationship. While I'm not ready to date again yet, I hope that when I am, I'll be able to build something healthier and more honest. Update 2. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments in my situation. I've officially moved into my own apartment now. It's smaller than the place I shared with Sarah, but it feels good to have a space that's truly my own. I've been slowly furnishing it and making it feel like home. My brother and friends have been a huge help with the move and getting settled. Last weekend, we had a small housewarming party. It was the first time in months that I felt genuinely happy and relaxed. Sarah's attempts to contact me have finally slowed down. I think she's realized that I'm serious about maintaining distance. From what I've heard through mutual friends, she's about 6 months pregnant now and struggling financially. Apparently, Jake is providing some financial support, but he's not interested in being involved beyond that. Part of me feels bad for her situation, but I remind myself that these are the consequences of her own actions. I ran into Sarah's sister, Emily, at the grocery store last week. It was awkward at first, but we ended up talking for a while. Emily apologized for her sister's behavior and said that the family is disappointed in Sarah's choices. She also revealed that this isn't the first time Sarah has done something like this. Apparently, she had a pattern of lying and manipulating partners in her past relationships too. Emily shared a story from when Sarah was in college. She had been dating 2 guys simultaneously, telling each of them that they were exclusive. When the truth came out, Sarah managed to convince both guys that the other was lying and manipulating her. It ended with the 2 guys fighting each other while Sarah played the victim. Emily said their mom had always enabled Sarah's behavior, making excuses for her and bailing her out of tough situations. This information was both enlightening and disheartening. On one hand, it helped me see that Sarah's behavior wasn't my fault. It's a deep-seated issue she's had for years. On the other hand, it made me question everything about our relationship. Were any of her feelings for me genuine? How much of what I thought I knew about her was actually true? I've started seeing a counselor to work through these feelings and the trauma from the relationship. It's been helpful to have a neutral party to talk to and gain perspective. We've been exploring why I was attracted to Sarah in the first place and how I can set better boundaries in future relationships. I'm learning to recognize red flags and trust my instincts more. Work has been a good distraction. I recently got a promotion that I've been working towards for a while. It involves more responsibility and some travel, which I'm looking forward to. My boss has been understanding about my personal situation and has given me some flexibility as I adjust to my new role. I've also reconnected with some old friends I had drifted apart from during my relationship with Sarah. It's been great to rebuild those connections and remember who I was before all of this happened. Last month, I went on a camping trip with some college buddies. Being out in nature, away from cell service and the stresses of daily life, was incredibly refreshing. While I'm doing better overall, I still have moments of sadness and anger about the situation. Sometimes I'll hear a song or see something that reminds me of Sarah, and it hits me all over again. The due date for the baby is coming up in a few months, and I know that will be a difficult time emotionally. But I'm taking it one day at a time and focusing on building a life I'm proud of. Update 3. It's been about 6 months since my last update. Life has settled into a new normal, and I'm in a much better place emotionally and mentally. The biggest news is that Sarah gave birth to her baby boy about a month ago. I found out through social media. She posted a vague announcement without mentioning the father. Update 3 continued. It brought up some complicated feelings, but I'm glad I wasn't directly involved in the situation. Seeing the baby's photo stirred up emotions I thought I had dealt with. For a moment, I imagined what it would have been like if things had turned out differently. But I quickly reminded myself of the reality of the situation and why I made the choices I did. I've maintained my distance from Sarah, but I did send a brief congratulatory message when I heard about the birth. It felt like the right thing to do, given our history. She responded with a thank you and an invitation to meet the baby, which I politely declined. I made it clear that while I wish her and the child well, I'm not interested in being part of their lives. Sarah seemed to understand and didn't push the issue further. My counseling sessions have been incredibly helpful in processing everything that happened with Sarah. I've gained a lot of insight into my own patterns and behaviors in relationships. One thing I've realized is that I tend to ignore red flags when I'm emotionally invested in someone. I'm working on being more objective and not letting my feelings cloud my judgment. On a more positive note, I've started dating again. I met a woman named Olivia through a mutual friend, and we've been seeing each other for about 2 months now. It's been refreshing to be with someone who is honest and straightforward. I was upfront with Olivia about my past experiences, and she's been understanding and patient as I navigate this new relationship. Olivia and I are taking things slow, which feels right after everything I've been through. We enjoy hiking together on weekends and trying out new restaurants in the city. It's nice to have someone to share experiences with again, without the pressure or baggage of my previous relationship. Work continues to go well. I'm enjoying my new role and the challenges it brings. The travel has been a nice change of pace, allowing me to see new places and meet interesting people. I've even started considering a transfer to our company's office in another city. The idea of a fresh start in a new place is appealing, though I haven't made any decisions yet. I've also picked up a new hobby. I joined a local hiking group and have been exploring some beautiful trails in our area. It's been great for both my physical and mental health. Being out in nature helps clear my head and gives me perspective when I'm feeling overwhelmed. My relationship with my family has grown stronger through all of this. I've been making an effort to visit my parents more often and call my sister regularly. They've been a constant source of support, and it's made me appreciate them even more. While the situation with Sarah will always be a part of my past, it no longer defines me or controls my life. I've learned a lot about myself and what I want in a relationship. I'm more confident in my ability to set boundaries and stand up for myself. There are still moments when I wonder about Sarah and the baby, but they're becoming less frequent. I hope she's doing well and that she's able to provide a good life for her child. but I'm also glad that I made the decision to prioritize my own well-being. As I look to the future, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic. I know there will be more challenges ahead, but I feel better equipped to handle them now. I'm focusing on building a life that makes me happy and surrounding myself with honest, supportive people. For now, I'm taking each day as it comes and trying to stay open to new experiences and opportunities. Life may not have turned out the way I expected, but I'm learning that sometimes the unexpected paths can lead to better destinations.